The sun will be in gate 59 and the earth in gate 55. So here
Yeah,
we can,
this whole sun in 59. So I just went back over all the lines, and it really is an expose on humanity's breaking through to the other. This is like the original breakthrough gate, this 59, dispersion. It's amazing what the I Ching named it. Dispersion. I mean, just it's a perfect name for it.
yeah, and this like, yeah, moving in dispersion, this spreading out within the tribe, and then the creation of more people within your tribe.
The creation of more.
Hmm. So here we can see it on the wheel. We're continuing on. They move counterclockwise. So the sun in 59, dispersion, as Danny said, and the earth is in gate 55, which is this gate of abundance.
Abundance on the other side as a polarity, gate 59. Every time I look at this polarity, as I recall, it's as I mean, realize it's in the cross of the sleeping phoenix to start with. And so basically, the question of abundance in spirit is answered through the penetration into the other. It's
Mm,
widely answered through that. It's our sex life and our abundance are closely linked. We're human sexual creatures, and it's one of those things we can never deny.
yeah, and it's interesting that connection between like the 59 as a tribal gate and the 55 as an individual gate.
Hmm.
Like this individual like relationship with like abundance and like lack on the other side, and then like within the tribal dynamic of like the family and creating more.
Yeah, and the importance of the tribe. We have these words, tribalism nowadays, like on larger scales, where it might take on a slightly different meaning.
Yeah.
But the part of the mission of the tribe is to protect the spirit. And I don't want no crazy ass collective with a bunch of ideas protecting spirit. I don't trust the individual to protect spirit, except maybe be it. I trust the tribe to to
Mm,
to carve out a spot where the spirit must. In fact, how many Indian tribes had so much folklore about spirit? The
mm,
spirit of themselves, the spirit. There's a spirit in everything. They saw spirit in everything. But
that's cool.
yep.
All right, ready to move on?
Hmm.
All right, so sun in gate 59. This is this energy of dispersion, of sexuality, the ability to break down barriers to achieve union. It's a sacral gate. It's part of tribal circuitry. So, tribal, you think support, and it's part of the defense subcircuit within the tribal circuitry. It links up with gate 6, which is this gate of friction, this impact gate. And then the channel 59-6 is the channel of mating. Gate 59 generates our genetic strategies for both sexual bonding and creating new life. It's an aura breaker gate, and it's defining the ways we penetrate or break through barriers to intimacy to create offspring or enter into a creative business venture with someone. It's warm tribal intimacy relating to touch, taste, and smell.
And it is very warm and it is very generated. So, in response, when the intimacy sours, this thing will chop it off at the root sooner or later.
Mm,
It's because it's just so powerful. It's a generated response to both. So, it says the openness to intimacy and the capacity to generate basically your repulsion to that particular intimacy. It's amazing how no one escapes the 59. So the 59 would break through, Vladimir Putin's aura. It would break through whoever, I'm just picking someone that everyone knows the name of. It doesn't
yeah.
matter where it is. In the first moment, it breaks through. And so that's just the power of this thing. That's part of what the spirit is waiting for. The spirit is waiting for the measurements to come through, for the breakthrough of this crazy gate, which is the only one that does actually break down the aura of the other. Doesn't matter how magnetic or piercing or 2145 or anything like that, any other channel is, this channel and this gate physically breaks down the barrier of the other's aura, including manifestors. So
Yeah, I've definitely seen it with like the 59. Like my boyfriend has the 59, and you can see like people will just like connect into him and like tell him things and just feel so good and safe with him. And like you could just like have these like intimate interactions with people on a very like daily, regular basis. So it's an interesting one to behold.
No, it's amazing. It's very piercing, this 59, and it's quietly sitting there. Like you can't tell it's there until it's in your aura doing the thing.
Hmm.
Yep.
Fascinating. All right, moving on.
Yep.
Cool. So the Earth is in 55, which is this energy of abundance and spirit. It says that abundance is strictly a question of spirit. It's a solar plexus gate, part of individual circuitry. So, individual, think empowerment. And it's
Mhm.
part of the knowing subcircuit. And it links up with gate 39, which is provocation. And the channel is the 3955, the channel of emoting.
Mhm. A
Oh,
design of moodiness.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one. Yeah, you either wake up on the right side of the bed or the wrong side of the bed when the
It's
sleeping
up,
phoenix when the sun is in the 55. I remember that's one for them is they either wake up on the right or the wrong side of the bed and that carries them.
and it wouldn't matter if you got that 55 in your gate or if it's not even in your incarnation crossing, you just have it. It's the glass half full, half empty scenario, and the recognition, because it's a projected channel, of when the cup runneth over, essentially. So, and then when it does, that spirit is broadcast to us through the act of empowerment, through the magnetic pulse of the creative moment when they are living that. And let's hope their moodiness didn't shove away the right person for that moment,
That's funny.
right?
Yeah, it's the awareness of spirit. It's not a concept, which is part of the ajna, or an instinct, which is part of the spleen. It's an
No,
emotion because it's part of the solar plex. So, abundance is a function of spirit, how you perceive what you're feeling, and the mood experienced in the moment, susceptible to melancholic chemistry of the emotional wave of hope and pain.
hope to pain. The gate 55s of this world know all too well, especially if it's in a defined solar plex center, know all too well this movement between high and low. And when it's exaggerated in your life, it's hope and pain, and it's even joy and despair at times, like total polar opposites. And yours is to understand that the collection of the awareness of your spirit, this abundance is a function of. I love the human design language. It's always got its technical aspects, A plus B, if this, then that. Abundance being the function of the spirit, what it says is the same crap you have today is abundant. And when the spirit goes low, that same amount of crap is not abundant. And
Oh my
it's up
God.
to you to waffle back and forth and become emotionally clear as to what that means. All preserved, protected, and supported sensitively by, the ego circuit or the defense circuit of the ego, even better. That thing fights. So,
Mhm.
yep.
Cool. I love it. Feel good about it?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I like that. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, that felt really nice. All right, so the Incarnation Crosses for people born this week, the right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix. These are great fertile agents busy making more to ensure the future. The need for intimacy and security in bonding.
I want to
Then,
say something about this cross before
yeah,
we
go
move
for
on
it.
because it's just too juicy.
Yeah, no, I love this one.
So, so the forces are so interested that we get busy making more. They encode it into our genome, and every human knows it. That urge to merge, right? That desire for the intimacy, and while just having fun times is good, it's never abundant until there is an intimacy. That's just the abundance of 55, and with all of that, 3420, the archetype of the manifesting generator is there in this um version of the cross. It's there unconsciously, driving busyness. I mean, it literally, all the old, sayings about let's get busy,
Oh
we were keynoting ourselves, not realizing it,
my God. Yeah, the energy's right there. Yeah.
let's get busy, and it's busy. And so what does this energy do? Let's skip steps on the way to getting busy. Let's get busy right now. Oh, let's get busy, let's get busy with all this energy, generated energy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and let's get busy when we're not even sure, like if we're out of our responsive way, it becomes mechanical. Let's get busy in some way that will not fill the spirit because I'm not entering in as myself. So this cross is incredible. It ultimately leads to both spirit and industry. It's funny.
Hmm.
Spirit
Hmm.
and industry are inside of this incarnation cross.
Fantastic. Thank you
Mm.
for that. Then next up, we have the juxtaposition cross of strategy. People who are focused on seeking to turn opportunities into strategies, leading to intimacy with others. The talents for matchmaking.
I have to say something here now too.
I was wondering, I've had a
I
feeling
know I
as
couldn't help
reading.
it. We can't go through them all because I'll lose these things. So this juxtaposition cross, when I was reading it in the book and I just saw the juxtaposition of strategy. So everything that there is to do with our strategy and authority and the whole use of the word strategy, there's only one juxtaposition of strategy, got given to the act of penetrating and breaking down barriers to intimacy. This is humanity's primary strategic function. I mean, it just is. We're enlightened. We have all kinds of other things that are far more important half the time, but none so ubiquitously guaranteed important in humanity, thus raising it to this. This makes sense that 59 holds the position of, it's like archetype of strategy. Even though there's archetypes of all the other strategy, and just like strategy seems to be here in the 59th gate. I just find that incredibly interesting. Ra would always say it's a generated world. Well, if our strategy is generated, I get it, you know? So, um, anyway,
Fantastic. All
yep.
right, finally, we have the left angle cross of the spirit. The lessons of sexuality and romance become wise gifts in the lives and experiences of those who are awake and aware. People focused on the transforming the relationship between love, loving, and sexuality through spirit.
Mm, we can't describe this. We need crosses of the spirit to really describe this for us.
Mm,
Because think about what you read, it's so dang personal. I mean, we're asking to match up many concepts and come up with something that you and I could possibly say. I guess we could get close and say lots of things about it, but because it's transpersonal, looking out over the other and looking out over the circuitry or over across the channel, this is always involving who's going to be in that with us. Because when we add in, what were the other two gates that moved in on this one? It would be 1 and 2. No,
let me
if
check my
it's
book.
59 is moving to 40, that means 40, 37. That means 9 and 16, two collective gates.
Yeah, you're so
Yep.
good.
Yep. So 9 and 60. Dude, as soon as you start looking into the wheel, everyone watching, you'll be able to do that too. That's important to
Yeah, I know
recognize.
I'm gonna get to that point where I'm just
Yep.
gonna like know where they all go. So
It's how it's your little tricks to where you don't have to actually hardcore memorize each thing. You can be in a spot, recognize what's next, and then, it's just a
mhm.
trick for knowing quicker. But so as those are both collective gates and they're all about planning and 59 moves to 40 in the wheel. Think about what this whole thing is saying. This cross of spirit is also forecasting the spirit won't be high if in gate 40 we don't get to work right after. Let's go to work. Let's put our shoulder to the wheel. Let's make some commitments. Let's build a house, and at the same time, 40 is the gate of aloneness, the nihilist. And let's strike a balance between ego-driven aloneness for rest and find that balance, that transition point between that point of transition between working and being liberated into rest. Let's find that point and make it be the right point. Don't work too much, don't work too little, but all that sounds so practical and tribal and let's be supportive about it, but none of that's in gate 59. In a sense, gate 59 is literally until you get to this cross of spirit, and then it wakes up to its collective nature, and then it starts to focus and tame the details that are going to go into the work we're about to do. So it's so intelligent, this movement, as we move and literally are making children in the first iteration of this, right, cross of the sleeping phoenix. And then as we move through to get to the left angle, suddenly we're not just making more. I mean, let's get busy, right? Moves to let's check the spirit, and the spirit can't even be alive until material abundance is at least cared for and looked after. And I don't trust an individual to do that into the collective and still keeping with the into the cross of planning into the ego. And this cross is so the next cross coming up is so important to this function here that it also has a channel in it. right around the time we're making babies, gate 59, spirit, we are all with a channel in that cross. We don't mess around, and we move to the next cross with a life force channel in it. The forces were dang serious about making sure this baby making turned into bargains that did a bunch of work to make sure we could support those babies. And that's the movement of this wheel. I mean, we're anthropomorphizing it and putting it into words, but just imagine the majesty of that out in the greater universe that set this whole thing rolling. It's so looking at this incarnation cross all the way through all three of these iterations. What does that tell us that's so true for this time while this 59 is in the sky? I mean, it's for these past few days, it's been here and now. It says, break down the barriers. Don't worry, you'll have felt the need to be busy. Breaking down any barriers, not just to intimacy. This is another basic ego circuit version of feel free to dive in because you're going to find out what fills the spirit of the moment. In fact, you're obligated to find out what fills the spirit, especially if you're afraid to do so. That's the time that the not self will take you away. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should think about it. Maybe my mental concepts will tell me what's true. You know, instead of my strategy and authority and the chemistry that tells me what's true for me and for you. So dive in. This isn't the dive in of 51 that's just shock and awe, thunder over and under, a warrior that leaps into the, this isn't, it will leap into a type of a void, but it's far more measured. You're taming all the details in gates 16 and 9. You're think about what 16 says. I'm willing to repeat. 16 and 9 both say I'm willing to repeat till perfection, or the pursuit of it. And I'll find it stimulating, and I want to get the depth. I'm keynoting all the gates in that stream that it loves so dearly, right? And I'll challenge anything that needs to be corrected, and I'll do it in a joyous way because I love that. And if you take it personally, that's your problem. And all of that is moving into this idea that I'm willing to repeat. So the phoenix that got busy ended up finding out stuff that turns into stuff worth repeating. And what's worth repeating? Let's go to work on. Let's go to work. This wheel literally takes us down this thing. So if you're listening to this story, let this play out today, tomorrow, the next couple of days into gate 40 as it starts to arrive, like Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, something like that.
Thursday, I think.
Yep. So dive in. Don't worry about the details. You're already looking at them. If you're actually afraid, pull back out, but dive in anyways. And if you have fear, do it in spite of, or at least look at it more closely. I don't want to give someone advice. I'm afraid to jump into the meat grinder. Okay, yeah, don't jump into the meat grinder, but less, where there's a little less stuff at stake. Dive in, please.
Cool. Good stuff.
Me likey.
All right, closing up. August 23rd through August 28th, the sun is in gate 59, which is this energy of dispersion, and the earth is in 55, which is abundance. Looking at the hexagrams from the I Ching, for the 59, we have wind over water and then thunder over fire for the 55. So the 59 is wind over water, and it says, wind moving above the stream stirs and disperses it as water vapor, reminiscent of the fragrant stream that rises from the offsprings and nourishes the spirits. This is the real substance of things, the inner flow of committed offering, the message and influence spreading outward. What is established with offerings will endure, while what is built of rock crumbles away. What are you building on?
This speaks to the, I heard a lady the other day, she got pissed, and out of her mouth, out of her truth came this moment. It's like, there's only two things that make life, women and soil. And this is speaking to that a little bit. You should add water in there too, obviously, but the oceans, the soil, and a woman,
Is the base level.
at this basic level. And this reminds me of that, because as it effervesces out from the water that ends up giving the life, it equals dispersion. You just have to be around, because if you're not near the water that's effervescing, you're in a concrete jungle somewhere, the dispersion may not be so good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And even this idea, like just like wind and water both would disperse, like the wind would disperse seed and like the water would disperse like through water,
All
obviously.
yeah, and throughout the whole length of the river. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of neat. All right, then for gate 55, the imagery is thunder over fire. And it says,
big
thunder
deal.
and lightning come together. The storm is directly overhead. It is time for inner clarity to become action, to take the decision and accept the consequences.
Sounds like abundance in spirit. So the thunder is informing the fire, and the fire is foundationalizing the thunder.
Yeah, and it's
That's what
such a spark, like spark on spark, like thunder over fire is like spark on spark.
but the fire sounds like the more nourishing, intelligent design part of that which can carry on and sustain, whereas the thunder passes.
Mm.
Is what I'm thinking, and that describes abundance. It has passed. Why did it pass, dear? I don't know, but I'm sad. I don't know, but I'm wicked happy. You know, the second you don't know, and 55 is in your chart or your sun or your earth or your nodes, and the second you don't know, accept it. You don't. And as soon as you do that, you get to start seeing it's not bad. It's not a problem. It's a process that through the thunder, well, thunder moves things, and comes the more diligent fire. Fire keeps us warm. There is warmth and acceptance of the not knowing. And 55's abundance comes in that little slipstream, that sort of point of convergence of liberation between the knowing and the not knowing. And that's where your abundance ends up sort of leaking out of, pouring out of onto you. You get it through the acceptance of the not knowing, because it's in that individual stream of when the pulse and the clarity will come. So as soon as you know you don't know, that means as soon as it happens, you get to experience it, right? I don't know if that made sense, but it makes
I don't
sense
know.
to me.
I like it. I like it. Well, it's like that freedom. As soon as you're just like, cool, I don't know what it is. Like there's a freedom to that. And it's in admitting you don't know something that you have the opportunity to learn. If you think you know everything, then there's no chance it can come in. So you're just like, I don't know. And in that acceptance and recognition that it opens up for like more to come.
And it in no way, listen, we're a bunch of a rest of a body graph. It in no way precludes our logical, conceptual intelligence, even emotional awareness of many of the aspects. But every time the pulse of 55 happens, it is new. So you have the foundation of everything that was before to recognize you're going to just move through and have new clarity over what is this abundance. So when you let it, tends to be more abundant. When you don't, it tends to not. Don't fight it. So let the dispersion take place and don't fight it. That's what I said before. Dive in, don't fight it.
And follow your strategy and authority.
Yeah, follow that strategy and authority big time. Definitely
So
don't fight that. That's for sure.
yeah, always. But like, yeah, explore it, have fun with it, and see where it takes you.
Moni, this one was yummy. It was